Jaxon Velle, a 42-year-old architect, stood in his sleek Seattle home, the city's skyline twinkling through floor-to-ceiling windows. His life seemed perfect, a thriving career designing eco-friendly buildings, a cozy craftsman house filled with laughter, and a 15-year marriage to Sienna Quill, his college sweetheart. Their kids, Lyric, 12, and Zephyr, 9, were the heart of it all, Lyric with her sketchbook dreaming of art school, and Zephyr always tinkering with model rockets. But perfection, Jaxon was about to learn, was a fragile illusion. It was a rainy Thursday night, the kind Seattle was famous for. Jaxon was prepping for a big presentation, his laptop glowing in the dim living room. Sienna, a marketing manager, had been distant lately, blaming late nights on a big campaign. Jaxon trusted her, why wouldn't he? They'd built a life together, weathered job losses, and celebrated milestones. But as he reached for his phone to text her about dinner, hers buzzed on the counter. A notification flashed, miss you already. Can't wait for tomorrow. Jaxon froze. His gut churned, but he told himself it was nothing. Maybe a friend? A client? Yet his fingers betrayed him, unlocking her phone, a code she'd never changed, their anniversary 0608. The text thread with T opened a Pandora's box. Messages stretched back weeks, laced with flirtation, plans for secret dinners, and words that seared Jaxon's heart. I can't stop thinking about you. T was Talon Bryce, Sienna's charming coworker, a married marketing exec Jaxon had met at her company's holiday party. Heart-pounding, Jaxon scrolled, each message a dagger. A photo of Sienna in a hotel lobby, smiling coyly. A voice note from Talon, his smug tone unmistakable. Jaxon's world tilted. He wanted to scream, to smash the phone, but Lyric's laughter from upstairs stopped him cold. He couldn't unravel their lives, not yet. When Sienna walked in at 11 p.m., her hair damp from the rain, Jaxon was waiting. Who's Talon? He asked, his voice low but sharp. Her face drained of color. She stammered, tried to deflect, but Jaxon held up her phone. The truth spilled out in sobs, a month-long affair, just a mistake, she claimed. She swore it meant nothing, that she loved Jaxon, that she'd end it. But her words rang hollow. The woman he trusted had built a secret life behind his back. Jaxon's anger burned, but his kids were his anchor. I need space, he said, grabbing his keys. He checked into a downtown hotel, the city's glow mocking his shattered dreams. Alone, he replayed their marriage, her late nights, her guarded phone, the excuses he'd ignored. How had he missed it? Rage gave way to grief, then resolve. He wouldn't let this destroy him or his kids. The next morning, Jaxon called a divorce attorney, a no-nonsense woman named Raven Holt who'd seen it all. Protect your assets and your kids, she advised. Jaxon dug deeper, uncovering Sienna's reckless spending, thousands on dinners, trips, and gifts for Talon, drained from their joint account. It wasn't just betrayal, it was theft. As he moved into a small apartment near Lyric School, Jaxon vowed to rebuild. But a chance encounter changed everything. At a coffee shop, he met Marigold Wren, a 40-year-old therapist and single mom with a warm smile and sharp wit. Over coffee, she shared her own story of surviving betrayal, her words a lifeline. You can't control her choices, but you can choose how you rise. Then came the first twist. Jaxon's phone buzzed with an email from an unknown sender. We need to talk about Talon and Sienna. I'm his wife, Vesper. The message hinted at secrets bigger than an affair, secrets that could turn the tables. Jaxon's pain hardened into purpose. This wasn't just about divorce anymore. It was about justice. Jaxon Velle sat in his sparsely furnished apartment, the Seattle rain drumming against the window. The sting of Sienna Quill's betrayal lingered, but his resolve was ironclad. Lyric and Zephyr, his kids, were his North Star. Lyric's quiet sketches and Zephyr's rocket obsession deserved a stable future. He wouldn't let Sienna's affair with Talon Bryce, her slick coworker, unravel their world. But anger alone wouldn't win. Jaxon needed a plan, sharp, legal, and devastating. His attorney, Raven Holt, was a force of nature, her office a fortress of legal files and coffee mugs. We'll secure your kids and finances, she said, her eyes scanning Sienna's bank records. Jaxon had uncovered more than heartbreak. Sienna had siphoned $15,000 from their joint account for Talon's business ventures, lavish dinners, a weekend in Napa, even a deposit on a shady startup Talon bragged about. This is leverage, Raven said. We'll ensure a fair settlement, prioritizing Lyric and Zephyr's trust funds. Jaxon nodded, but his mind churned. He didn't want blood. He wanted Sienna to face the consequences of her choices. Raven filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences, and froze the joint account to stop further bleeding. Jaxon's focus shifted to co-parenting, arranging schedules to keep Lyric's art classes and Zephyr's science camp uninterrupted. He was rebuilding brick by brick. Marigold Wren, the therapist he'd met at the coffee shop, became an unexpected anchor. Over lunch at a Pike Place cafe, her auburn hair catching the light, she listened as Jaxon poured out his pain. "I want justice, not revenge," he said. Marigold's eyes, warm yet piercing, held his. "Justice is living well, Jaxon. Show your kids strength, not spite." Her own story, surviving a cheating ex, gave her words weight. She'd rebuilt her life with her daughter, Sage, and her calm strength steadied Jaxon's resolve. Then came Vesper Lane's email, a bombshell that shifted the game. Vesper, Talon's wife, met Jaxon at a quiet diner near Lake Union. Her face was drawn, her voice steady but laced with hurt. "Talon's not just cheating," she said, sliding a folder across the table. "He's embezzling from the company to fund his new life with Sienna." Bank statements and emails detailed Talon's scheme, funneling marketing budgets into a shell company with Sienna's signatures on several transfers. Jaxon's jaw tightened. Sienna wasn't just unfaithful, she was complicit. Vesper's proposal was bold. They'd expose Talon and Sienna to their employer, a tech firm with zero tolerance for fraud. "I want him to lose everything," Vesper said, her voice cracking. Jaxon hesitated. This wasn't just about him anymore, it was about protecting his kids from Sienna's reckless spiral. "Let's do it," he said, "but we keep it clean. No lies, no traps." Vesper nodded, her eyes glinting with shared purpose. They spent days compiling evidence, screenshots, timestamps, and Vesper's testimony about Talon's boasts. Jaxon's heart raced as he realized the stakes. If this backfired, Sienna could twist it against him in court, claiming harassment. But the risk felt worth it. He wasn't destroying her, he was letting her choices catch up. A twist blindsided him. Marigold, reviewing his plans, revealed a secret. She'd once worked at the same firm as Sienna and Talon. "I left because Talon's charm hit a snake," she said. "He tried to pull me into a shady deal years ago. I refused, but Sienna, she's in deep." Marigold's insight gave Jaxon a new angle. Sienna wasn't a mastermind, she was Talon's pawn, chasing a fantasy. Pity flickered, but Jaxon pushed it aside. Lyric and Zephyr deserved better. As Raven prepared the divorce papers, Jaxon and Vesper finalized their move. They sent an anonymous tip to the firm's HR, backed by their evidence. Days later, whispers reached Jaxon. Talon was under investigation, his office cleared out. Sienna's name surfaced too, her role in the transfers questioned. Jaxon felt no triumph, only a grim satisfaction. The tables were turning, but a new fear gnawed at him. How would Sienna's unraveling affect their kids? One night, Lyric called, her voice small. "Mom's been crying a lot," she said. "Is it my fault?" Jaxon's heart broke. He drove to their old home, finding Sienna on the porch, eyes red. "You're ruining me," she whispered, clutching a demotion notice. Jaxon knelt beside her. "You did this, Sienna. But Lyric and Zephyr need us both. Step up for them." Her nod was fragile, but it sparked a question. Could she change? Jaxon didn't know, but he knew his next move had to protect his kids, no matter what. Jaxon Velle stood outside his Seattle apartment, the Puget Sounds mist curling around him. The anonymous tip he and Vesper Lane had sent to Sienna Quill and Talon Bryce's employer had ignited a firestorm. Talon was fired, his office stripped bare, and Sienna faced a demotion, her role in the embezzlement scheme under scrutiny. Jaxon felt no joy, only a heavy resolve to shield Lyric and Zephyr from the fallout. But the game wasn't over, and a new move was about to upend everything. Co-parenting with Sienna was a tightrope. She'd grown erratic, her texts swinging from apologetic to accusatory. "You're tearing us apart," she wrote after picking up the kids, her words laced with desperation. Jaxon kept his responses curt, guided by Marigold Wren's advice, "Don't let her chaos pull you in." Marigold, the therapist who'd become his confidant, grounded him with her quiet strength. Over coffee, she'd shared more of her past, a betrayal that left her raising Sage alone. "You're not just surviving, Jaxon," she said. "You're rewriting your story." But Sienna's unraveling tested Jaxon's restraint. At a parent-teacher conference for Lyric, Sienna arrived late, her eyes bloodshot. She avoided Jaxon's gaze, focusing on Lyric's art portfolio. "She's talented," Sienna whispered, her voice breaking. Jaxon nodded, but Lyric's stiff posture spoke volumes. She sensed her mom's turmoil. Zephyr, oblivious, chattered about his rocket project, but Jaxon caught Sienna's glance at his bare ring finger. Her jealousy was palpable, and it scared him. The next twist hit like a thunderbolt. Vesper called, her voice urgent. "Sienna's fighting back," she said. "She's claiming we fabricated the evidence to smear Talon." Jaxon's stomach dropped. Sienna had hired a lawyer, spinning a narrative of harassment to save her job. Worse, she'd hinted at dragging Jaxon into the mess, alleging he'd hacked her accounts to frame her. The accusation was baseless, but Raven Holt, Jackson's attorney, warned it could muddy the divorce. She's desperate, Raven said. We need more proof. Vesper, undeterred, dug deeper. She uncovered a deleted email chain between Sienna and Talon, recovered from Talon's old laptop, proving Sienna knowingly signed off on the fraudulent transfers. She thought Talon would save her, Vesper said, her voice bitter. But he's already moved on, new city, new girlfriend. Jaxon stared at the evidence, pity warring with anger. Sienna wasn't evil, just lost in a fantasy that was now crumbling. Their alliance grew stronger. Vesper, a graphic designer with a sharp mind, met Jaxon at a waterfront park to strategize. I'm done being a victim, she said, her eyes fierce. Talon took enough. Sienna can't dodge this. They sent the new evidence to HR, anonymized to avoid retaliation. Days later, Sienna's demotion was confirmed, her bonus slashed. Talon faced a lawsuit from the firm, his new life in tatters. Jaxon exhaled, but the victory felt hollow. Lyric's tearful calls haunted him. A new risk emerged. Sienna, cornered, lashed out. She called Jaxon late one night, her voice slurred. You're turning the kids against me, she accused, referencing Marigold. That woman's replacing me. Jackson's patience snapped. Marigold's a friend, Sienna. Focus on Lyric and Zephyr, they need their mom. Sienna's sobs echoed through the phone and Jaxon softened. Get help, he said. For them. She hung up, leaving Jaxon rattled. Was she spiraling or playing him? The kid's pain crystallized the stakes. At Zephyr's science fair, Lyric pulled Jaxon aside. Mom says you're why she's sad, she whispered, her eyes searching his. Jaxon knelt, heart aching. Your mom made choices, Lyric. I'm here for you and Zephyr, always. Lyric nodded, but her hug was tight, laced with fear. Jaxon vowed to protect them, even if it meant facing Sienna's wrath. Then, a shocking revelation. Marigold, reviewing Jackson's evidence, recognized a detail. The shell company Talon used was linked to a client she'd flagged years ago for shady deals. Sienna didn't know how deep this went, Marigold said. Talon used her ambition against her. The insight shifted Jackson's perspective. Sienna was a pawn, but her choices still hurt his family. He doubled down, meeting Raven to ensure the divorce protected Lyric and Zephyr's future. As the firm's investigation closed, Sienna's world shrank, demoted, isolated, and abandoned by Talon. Jaxon braced for her next move, knowing she'd either fight harder or break. A late-night text from her hinted at the latter. I'm sorry. I messed up. Jaxon didn't reply, but the words stirred hope. Could she change? He pushed it aside, focusing on his kids and the fragile bond with Marigold. The battle wasn't over and a storm was brewing. Jaxon Velle gripped his phone, Sienna Quill's text, I'm sorry. I messed up. Burning in his mind. The Seattle skyline glowed beyond his apartment window, but peace felt distant. Sienna's demotion and Talon Bryce's downfall had exposed their fraud, but her desperate harassment claim against Jaxon and Vesper Lane threatened to drag him into her chaos. Lyric and Zephyr, his kids, were caught in the crossfire, and Jackson's resolve hardened. He'd protect them no matter the cost. Sienna's behavior grew erratic. At a custody exchange, she clung to Zephyr, whispering, "Don't forget me." Her eyes darted to Jaxon, a mix of guilt and defiance. Lyric, clutching her sketchbook, avoided her mom's gaze. Jaxon kept his voice steady. "Let's keep this about the kids, Sienna." She nodded, but her trembling hands betrayed her. Marigold Wren, Jackson's friend and therapist, warned him over dinner, "She's unraveling. Set firm boundaries or she'll pull you down too." Marigold's own scars from betrayal gave her words weight, and Jaxon trusted her clarity. His attorney Raven Holt was a bulwark. "Sienna's claim won't stick," she said, reviewing the email evidence Vesper had uncovered. "But she's pushing for mediation to delay the divorce." Jackson's jaw clenched. Mediation meant facing Sienna, her lies, and her tears, a trap to sway him. Raven's plan was airtight: stick to the facts, secure the kids' trust funds, and let Sienna's actions speak for her. Jaxon agreed, but dread gnawed at him. What was Sienna planning? The storm broke at Lyric's art show, a school event buzzing with parents and pride. Jaxon arrived early, Zephyr at his side, marveling at Lyric's vibrant canvases. Sienna slipped in late, her makeup smudged, drawing whispers. As Lyric presented her piece, a stormy sea with a lone lighthouse, Sienna interrupted, her voice loud. "This is about me, isn't it? You think I'm the storm." The room froze. Lyric's face crumpled, and Zephyr hid behind Jaxon. "Sienna, stop," Jaxon said, stepping forward. "This is Lyric's night." Sienna's eyes blazed. "You've poisoned them against me. You and that woman Marigold. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Jackson's heart raced, but Marigold's advice echoed. Don't engage. He guided Lyric and Zephyr outside, shielding them from the stairs. Sienna followed, sobbing. I didn't mean it, she pleaded. Jaxon turned, his voice low. Get help, Sienna. For them. Lyric's trembling hand in his was all the fuel he needed to stay strong. The twist came hours later. Vesper called, her voice tight. Sienna tried to bribe an HR rep to bury the fraud evidence. An intercepted email revealed Sienna's offer. $5,000 from her dwindling savings to save her job. The rep reported it, and Sienna now faced termination. Vesper's tone softened. She's broken, Jaxon. Talon used her, and she's lost everything. Jaxon stared at his kids' photos on his desk. Lyric's smile, Zephyr's curiosity. Pity stirred, but he pushed it aside. Sienna's choices, not his, had led here. The fallout was swift. Sienna's employer suspended her, pending a final review. Talon, facing lawsuits, had fled Seattle, leaving Sienna alone. At mediation, she appeared hollow, her lawyer's bravado fading. I just want my kids, she whispered, avoiding Jackson's gaze. Raven presented the settlement. Joint custody, with Jaxon as primary guardian to ensure stability. Sienna signed, her hand shaking. Jaxon felt no triumph, only relief for Lyric and Zephyr. A kid-centric moment shifted the tide. Zephyr, after a quiet dinner, handed Jaxon a drawing. A rocket labeled, Dad's Team. You're the pilot, he said, hugging Jaxon. Lyric joined, her voice soft. Mom's sad, but you're here. That's enough. Their trust anchored Jaxon, but Sienna's outburst had left scars. He called Marigold, who suggested therapy for the kids. They're resilient, she said, her smile warm. Like you. Sienna's next move surprised him. A letter arrived, handwritten, no lawyer's polish. I'm starting therapy, she wrote. I hurt you and the kids. I want to be better for them. Jaxon read it twice, torn between skepticism and hope. Marigold, reviewing it, nodded. It's a start. Keep your boundaries, but don't close the door. Jaxon agreed, but his focus stayed on his kids and the fragile bond with Marigold, whose daughter, Sage, he'd yet to meet. As the divorce neared finalization, Jaxon braced for one last hurdle. Sienna's therapy hinted at change, but her past manipulation loomed. At Zephyr's science fair, she approached, hesitant. Can we talk? She asked. Jaxon tensed, ready for a trap, but her eyes held no malice, only regret. The reckoning was here, but what would it bring? Jaxon Velle stood under the fluorescent lights of Zephyr's science fair, the hum of young voices filling the Seattle gym. Sienna Quill's tentative words, "Can we talk?" hung in the air, her eyes raw with regret. After her outburst at Lyric's art show and her failed bribe to save her job, Jaxon braced for manipulation. But Sienna's slumped shoulders told a different story. Lyric and Zephyr, his anchors, were nearby, and Jackson's focus stayed razor-sharp. Protect them, always. Sienna gestured to a quiet corner. I'm not here to fight, she said, her voice steady but soft. Therapy's opening my eyes. I hurt you, the kids, everyone. She pulled out a notebook, pages filled with jagged handwriting. I wrote down every choice I made with Talon. I was chasing a lie. Jaxon listened, wary. Her honesty disarmed him, but trust was a bridge burned. What do you want, Sienna? He asked. She met his gaze. To be a mom again. I'm asking for a chance. Not with you, but with them. Jackson's heart tugged, but Lyric's tears at the art show flashed in his mind. Earn it, he said. Show up for them, not for pity. Sienna nodded, a tear falling. I will. As she walked away, Zephyr waved, oblivious to the weight of the moment. Jaxon exhaled, unsure if her change was real, but willing to let time judge. The divorce finalized days later. Raven Holt, Jackson's attorney, delivered the papers. Joint custody, with Jaxon as primary guardian to ensure Lyric and Zephyr's stability. Sienna didn't contest, her signature shaky but resolute. The settlement protected the kids' trust funds, leaving Sienna with little after her financial missteps. Talon Bryce, now facing lawsuits, had vanished, his betrayal a fading scar. Jaxon felt no vengeance, only relief. His justice was living well, not destroying her. A final twist unfolded at a parent meeting. Sienna approached Jaxon, holding a letter for Lyric and Zephyr. "I told them I'm sorry," she said. "And I told them about the money." Jaxon froze. Sienna confessed she'd drained $2,000 from Lyric's college fund for Talon's scheme, a secret she'd buried. "I'm repaying it, every cent," she vowed, showing a payment plan from her new part-time job. The admission stunned Jaxon. Her honesty was raw, her shame palpable. "Why tell them?" he asked. "Because they deserve truth," she said. Jaxon nodded, a flicker of respect igniting. Lyric and Zephyr's resilience shone. At a family picnic, Zephyr showed Jaxon a new rocket design, labeled Team Velle. Lyric, quieter, shared a sketch. A lighthouse, now with 2 beams, her and Zephyr. "Mom's trying," she said, her voice cautious. Jaxon hugged them, his heart full. Therapy, suggested by Marigold Wren, helped the kids process Sienna's actions. "They're healing," Marigold said, her smile warm. "Like you." Marigold became Jaxon's haven. Over dinner at a waterfront bistro, she shared her dream, opening a therapy clinic for families like theirs. Jaxon, inspired, offered to design the space pro bono. Their bond deepened, rooted in shared strength. One sunny afternoon, Jaxon met Sage, Marigold's daughter, at a park. Sage and Zephyr bonded over kites, while Lyric sketched nearby. "This feels right," Marigold whispered. Jaxon agreed, his heart lighter than ever. Sienna's progress was slow but real. She attended therapy, worked steadily, and showed up for the kids. On time, no drama. At Zephyr's birthday, she gave him a model rocket, her smile genuine. Lyric accepted a hug, tentative but warm. Sienna thanked Jaxon quietly. "You didn't have to give me this chance," she said. "I did it for them," he replied. But her gratitude lingered. She was rebuilding not for him but for herself and their kids. Jaxon thrived. His career soared, his designs winning awards. But his true victory was family. Lyric's confidence, Zephyr's laughter, and Marigold's quiet strength. At a school event, Jaxon and Marigold introduced Sage to Lyric and Zephyr, their laughter blending under Seattle's gray sky. Sienna watched from a distance, her smile bittersweet. She'd faced her karma, job loss, loneliness, shame, but was clawing her way back. The story closed on a ferry ride, Jaxon and his kids watching the city fade. "We're okay, right?" Lyric asked. Jaxon squeezed her hand. "Better than okay." His justice wasn't Sienna's ruin. It was this: a life rebuilt, a family whole, and hope rising like the tide. Sienna's redemption, fragile but growing, proved no one was beyond change. Healing, not hatred, had won.